my client was given this nightie, and it's really pretty, but it's got a frill down the bottom, and we need to take off at least 4 inches, you know, between 4 and 5 inches. So I said to her, look, it'd be, you know, quite expensive exercise to unpick that frill and shorten it and then put the frill back on. And then even if we did that, of course it's got three rows there, so, and you don't really want to make the frill short. So what I said to her was, what if I take the section out above these 3 rows of stitching here? So if I literally take that out, it'll be on the inside like that, and then put another fold there, so it looks like that it has 4 of them instead of 3. So I thought I'd show you how to do that, because you know it's a pretty nightie, and for those of you that do wear them, you know, you might come across something like this and think, you know, how am I going to shorten it? So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So here we have the nightie. Now what I've done is, to speed things up a little bit, I'll show you what I've already done. So I'll show you this side first. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to create another row, and I measured what the distance was between one row and the next row, the stitch line. So that's the stitch line there and the stitch line there. So I measured that, and it was ½ an inch in imperial and just over 1 centimetre in metric, but I work in imperial. So what I did was, I came up to here and I put I want to take it up 4 inches, plus then I'll do the little tuck, so that'll give it about 4½ inches. So I put a dot there and a dot there for the 2 inches, because that's going to be folded over, so that'll become 4 inches, and then it's a ½ an inch from that stitch line to that stitch line, so that it's the same from that stitch line to that stitch line. So basically I'm going 2½ up from the stitch line, put in a dot, coming down 2 inches, and that's it. And I've done that all the way around, so it's like 2½ dot dot, and then the same here, so 2½ dot dot. Now I've done that all the way around. So I had to move the label because the label was in my way, and I didn't want to have that there. In fact, that's going to have to go up a little bit more anyway, so I'll pop that up to there. It's always good to put the labels back on, because they've usually got care instructions on the back. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over, because I've already started the process over here as well. So basically what I've done is, I've folded this on the side seam. Remember, we had a dot there and a dot there, dot there, and so on. So what I've done is, I've gone through, I've folded it, so that's my 4 inches, that, because I'm going to stitch through here, so that's my 4 inches that the garment is being shortened by. So I'll just pop the rest of these pins in. Always make sure you put the seams the same way, rather than twisting them, because if you twist them, it's not so much on a nightie, but if you twisted a seam on a, say, a skirt that was really tight, then the seam would stick out, and you don't want things like that to happen. Okay, now we'll stitch that. I do apologise for the humming in the background. It's my mum's oxygen machine. So I'm just going to trim this because I want to take it, I'll take it as close as I can to that seam because I'm going to encase it. Okay, now I'm going to go and iron that. I'm going to stitch it like that. So you can see that I've pressed that flat. Okay, so now what I'll do is turn it in this way, and I'm going to stitch it so that this seam ends up being underneath when it's folded back, so it's the same. I mean, it's probably not exactly the same, but it's close. So all I've got to do really is just go around like that, gauge this a similar amount to that, and stitch it flat. This sort of sewing is called stitching in the ditch. When you're sewing into a seam like I am here. So there's an example of another way that you can actually shorten something. I mean, it is thicker because it's got that other fabric inside, but I really didn't want to cut it right back to here because it's so fine. You know, you can see there that you can see that seam underneath. So you're better off to try and cut it pretty much to how you're going to fold it. And it's a nightie, so I don't think that she's going to be too concerned about that. But it's now the length that she wants.